Hi, here's a few ideas about planning your practice. It's really important to plan your practice, and if you plan well, you will progress faster. You'll get a lot more out of your practice. Um, Please remember, we'll probably talk about this a lot of times. It's better to practice a little bit every day than a whole lot on the weekend. And it's important to know that you can progress with just 5 or 10 minutes a day. Of course, 30 minutes is better, or an hour. When you're a beginner, probably 30 minutes is plenty. An hour might be too much. But anyway, back to the planning. You want to start with something like a warm up. Well, something that is a warm up. A warm up is supposed to be something easy, and you just get your fingers moving, your muscles moving. The whole idea is that it's so easy that you're not struggling to get your fingers where you're trying to put them. You can do something easy and you can focus on your posture and the technique of your hands, or you could focus on tone, or you could focus on the smoothness or the cleanness of your notes. It just gives you a chance to do something easy and focus on one of those things and improve your technique. And all those things will become more and more automatic to where you don't have to think about them. It also gets your fingers ready to do more challenging things, which warming up is really important the older we get, because if we do challenging things before we're warmed up, we can hurt ourselves. And if we warm up with easy things, then we can push a little harder to the more challenging things, or the things that are, stressing, where we're stiff. And you will loosen up, by the way. It's amazing how much you might feel stiff at first, but the more you use your fingers, they loosen up and they do things that when I first started learning harp, there were things I thought I would never do. And gradually I got to, where my fingers would reach farther and do more. It was really amazing. Okay, so warm up is easy, and you focus on important things, like technique or tone or the cleanness of your notes. And I'll make suggestions as we go through our lessons, depending on where you're at, what might be a good warm-up activity. And exercise after warm-up, and you could just warm up for a minute or two. If you have time, warm up for 5 minutes and then practice. But if you only have 5 minutes to practice, warm up for a minute or two. And then exercises, that's when you're developing a new skill. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate a great exercise for many of you, because a lot of people complain about not being able to change chords fast enough. It's really important to know that the way that works is you get faster at it the more that you do it. So if you're practicing a song and it has however many chord changes that it has, and there's just that one place in the song that, I always am a little slow getting to that B7, well, you don't want to just practice the song over and over and always have trouble with that one spot. You want to, whatever chords you're slow at switching to, take the two chords that are neighboring and go back and forth. So if you're having trouble going from D to B7, just go back and forth a lot. And getting faster at that change, the only way to get faster at it is how many times you do it. And it just takes how long it takes. And you don't have to rush. You don't have to be like, oh my gosh, I'm not there yet. Just however long it doesn't, if you practice slow, that still counts. So you can practice slow and do it well. It's not important to get there so fast that you do it sloppy. The more times you do it, you will naturally get faster. So whatever chords you're having trouble changing, just go back and forth. And it's okay to go slow at first. And so that would be an example of an exercise. There's a chord change that you want to get faster at, and you just go back and forth. So if that were your exercise, you decide 10 times, 20 times. And as we go through class, I can give you other examples of what an exercise might be like. But the main idea with exercise is it's a new skill. It's something you're not good at yet, and you want to spend some focused attention on that, getting better at it. And then sometimes I will make listening suggestions. It's important to know how important listening is. When it comes to practice, like say you're busy and, oh, I didn't get time to practice that day, I want you to count listening, because it does count when you're listening. A lot of students have trouble, say if you're strumming chords and singing a song, and often one of the challenges students face is knowing, how do I know when to switch chords? And we'll talk about more about that in class, but listening can make a big difference. So the more familiar you are with the sound of the song, it will help you when you're practicing playing it yourself. So definitely count listening, and depending on what we're working on, I may suggest some listening. Let's see. And then you always want to have something that feels musical. And so as we go through our lessons, I will be making suggestions for the music that you can practice. When you're practicing your music, like say you have a song you're working on, like one of the ones we're going to work on is Love, Love Me Do. I just discovered that is public domain, so the copyright on that is not a problem. Let's see. Love, love me do. You know I love you. I'll always be true. So I have to know, let's see. Oh, the example I was about to give was, so you're practicing, okay? And let's say you know when it's time to change, but every time you go to C, there's a buzz, for example. It's important when you get down to your music. So if you say you're practicing singing and playing Love, Love Me Do, if it bothers you that note is buzzing, spend about half the time, if it buzzes, stop and try to figure it out and adjust your fingers and try to make it clean. But don't always do that. The other half of the time, just play and sing and go on anyway, no matter what. And that will help develop different parts of your playing. And especially when it comes to things like buzzing strings, you will be amazed how much they fix themselves. We'll talk more about that and how the brain works. So sometimes when you have a song down here for music, you have more than one way of practicing the song. And I'll be suggesting more of those ways as our lessons go by. So yeah, and I'll be helping you with that. But I wanted you to have those ideas in mind when we have our first lesson. So you might have a paper ready where you can make some notes about warm-ups, exercises, listening, and music. See you next time. Bye.